Multiverse, Episode 50. The sky groaned under the sheer force of gravity. High in the heavens, tearing through dense clouds, flew the Titan Clockman. The golden gears on his back spun with such a furious screech that the air around him melted, turning into a glowing chrono trail. His speed was so colossal that below him, on the ground, a hurricane-force wind pinned century-old trees to the earth, ripping them out by their roots, and kicked up millions of tons of dust and dry soil. He was in a hurry. Every tick of his internal clock counted down the approach of an inevitable end. And below, among the hills, it moved. Geopocalypse. The colossal mobile fortress of the Skibidi. It looked like a living mountain range. Painted in ominous rusty red tones, it stepped heavily with its cyclopean spider legs, shaking the tectonic plates. In the very center of this iron monster, a mechanical skull face glowed dimly, with massive cannons mounted on its sides. The crowning glory of this leviathan was a giant sword enveloped in raging yellow plasma, capable of slicing through cities with a single swing. Against the backdrop of this behemoth, even G-Man looked like a mere escort ship. His heavy flying platform hovered in the air, and his numerous laser cannons scanned the horizon. Meanwhile, at the secret TV base hidden in the cliffs, a heavy atmosphere reigned. Wounded agents tried to recover their strength. They believed that the recent alliance with G-Man and the power of Geopocalypse would provide them with a reliable rear. But the respite turned out to be an illusion. On one of the rocky ledges, towering over the base, stood C-Pen. His sleek body made of white and silver metal stood out sharply against the gray landscape. His vertical, faceless screen head flickered dimly, and the heavy multi-barrel machine gun on his right arm clicked quietly. For him, the perfect destruction machine, an alliance with toilets, was a fatal system bug, and he decided to fix this bug. C-Pen's eyes flared with a cold green light. He pointed his left hand toward Geopocalypse and launched an ultra-class wireless hacking protocol. In that same second, sirens wailed inside the Leviathan. Thousands of G-clones on the decks of the fortress froze instantly. Their eyes filled with C-Pen's cold, deathly green light. They no longer obeyed the Alliance. G-Man felt the control of his own fortress slip away. The massive cannons of Geopocalypse began to slowly turn toward the defenseless TV base. G-Man roared, the lasers on his armor charging furiously as he tried to override the hacker signal. But C-Pen completely blocked the manual override system. Realizing what was about to happen, Ketsi, the Pencil Woman Titan, surged forward. Her elegant figure in magnificent green and gold armor, with sharp spikes on her shoulders and a glowing emerald core on her chest, rushed into the fray. Compared to the massive Geopocalypse, she seemed tiny, but her power was limitless. "I won't let you erase us, C-Pen," her clear, resolute voice echoed. Ketsi raised her sharp golden claws. The core on her chest flared with a blinding green light. She began to draw lines of pure, creative energy in the air. The lines thickened and expanded, taking physical form. Ketsi took a desperate, deadly step. She used her entire energy reserve to draw an exact copy of Geopocalypse. With a deafening screech, the drawn colossus materialized right in front of the original fortress. The giant, glowing copy tightly locked the real Geopocalypse in its grasp, blocking its cannons and preventing C-Pen from firing at the base. A titanic struggle between the two behemoths began, making the ground beneath them collapse. Meanwhile, Commander 07 flew toward the locked command center of Geopocalypse at incredible speed. His body was a model of brutal cybernetics, a human face with pale skin hidden behind a massive respirator and heavy armor adorned with military medals. Using his jet thrusters, he punched straight through the steel bulkheads of the fortress, leaving neat holes in the armor. Hostile hack clones tried to stop him, but Commander 07 only looked at them coldly. Powerful, pitch-black laser beams erupted from his eyes, instantly disintegrating the metal and flesh of his enemies. He burst into the central control room, flew to the main terminal, and plugged into the core. Black energy from his eyes poured into the wires, burning out C-Pen's codes. System. Rebooted. Commander 07 wheezed, pulling the manual override emergency lever. G-Apocalypse shuddered. The green light on its sensors faded, and its cannons lowered lifelessly. The drawn clone created by Ketsi dissolved into a myriad of green sparks. But the price of this victory was devastating. Ketsi slowly sank to her knees. Her magnificent green and gold armor began to fade, covered in deep gray cracks. She had given every last drop of her life and energy to create the drawn giant. The Titan TV man rushed to her falling body. His massive figure in heavy black robes and a long purple cloak seemed monumental. Massive additional screens were mounted on his shoulders, and a purple blade glowed dimly on his right forearm. He carefully, trying not to hurt her, caught the fading Ketsi in his giant hands. White static flickered erratically on his main screen, forming a sad face. Ketsi, no, his heavy speaker rumbled. She sighed softly. The emerald core on her chest finally went dark, and her body fell apart with a quiet rustle into glowing emerald dust right in his palms. The wind immediately swept the dust away into the gray sky. Nearby stood the wounded, soot-covered Titan cameraman. His body in a dark coat heaved heavily. The jetpack on his back smoked, and the blue core on his chest burned with an uneven light. He silently stepped forward and gently placed his huge metal hand on the Titan TV man's shoulder. They didn't need words. They had lost a dear friend. They were not given time for even a second of grief. The sky above them split with a quiet, vibrating hum. It was a colossal, disc-shaped leviathan, with a sinister purple sphere pulsing in its center, surrounded by dark metal segments and heavy weapon ports. The ship was so massive that its shadow completely engulfed the valley, plunging the survivors into darkness. On the ship's protruding platform stood the Master himself. His figure, clad in heavy, angular dark armor with bright purple neon tubes, looked majestic and terrifying. A heavy fur collar lay on his shoulders, and a long cloak billowed behind him. From under his horned helmet, cold, glowing eyes stared down at the Titans. In his right hand, a sphere of pure purple energy pulsed. The Master looked down at the crater where the TV base used to be. There was no mercy on his face. "Pathetic bugs," he said softly. The sphere on his ship flared with a blinding purple light. The ship's bottom port opened, and a colossal, perfectly focused beam of purple plasma struck down. It didn't just blow up the TV base, it vaporized it. In that instant, before they could even comprehend what had happened, everyone burned in the blinding flash. TV woman, TV scientist, clock scientist, drillman chief, and hundreds of special agents who were at the base. Their molecular structure was destroyed in a microsecond. In place of the technological base, only a perfectly round, smoking crater of black glass remained. All the surviving Titans froze in absolute, paralyzing shock. The Clockman, who had just hovered in the air, slowly lowered his hands. G-Man and the Titan TV man stared at the empty crater. Their rear, their friends, their technology, everything was erased in a single strike. The Master on his platform slowly raised his hand, enveloped in purple flame. His silhouette against the giant ship seemed like a true harbinger of the apocalypse. His voice, amplified by millions of the ship's speakers, rolled like thunder over the dead valley. The time of conquest has begun. The Mothership's hatches opened with a screech. But instead of regular robots, they began to descend. The Phantoms. These were the giant puppets of the Master, created in the image and likeness of the Counter-Titan, but brought to absolute perfection. Their bodies consisted of gray, stone-like metal, and multiple spider-like legs and cannons grew from their backs, topped with blinding yellow energy spheres. Their empty helmets glowed from within with the same sinister yellow fire. They towered over both the Titan TV man and the Titan cameraman. Hundreds of these silent monsters descended from the heavens, surrounding the survivors and blotting out the last rays of daylight with their bodies. The camera of a surviving special agent, capturing this legion of death, sparked from the radiation, showed a system error and went dark forever. The screen fades to black. End of episode 50.